Add glamour, romance, and drama to your digital pics today on Call for Help.
Good to see you. Welcome. It's time for Call for Help. I'm Leo Laporte, your helper. Thank you for joining us. I'll be your helper today. Episode 442. I introduce my helper. It's Callie Lewis. It's so nice to see you again.
Great to be here.
As many of you know, and I'll just say it again so people remember, Amber MacArthur's gone off to her fame and fortune on City TV, which is a big national network in Canada, and we're really proud of her. But we're so happy to have Callie here. Not permanently, I'm sorry to say. Callie's got her own thing. We were able to persuade her just to come up.
I'm from Texas, not Canada.
Yeah, right. A few weeks. Geekbrief.tv, and I highly encourage you to check it out if you like Callie. You're going to love Geek Brief. It's just 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Gadgets, what's new in technology, same stuff we do.
Exactly.
But it's short form.
Very short, so you can get a snippet of it without having to really ruin your day, just having to read a bunch of blogs.
Yeah. Is that something you'd always wanted to do, or is it something that just came to you?
Just something that happened.
Yeah.
So we sort of fell into it.
Was it okay, now I never asked you this. Was it Neil's idea or your idea to do it? Neil's her husband.
It was sort of both of our ideas, but I mean, we sort of worked together. He really kind of pushed the beginning of it, and then from there we just sort of flow together.
What happened at one point? Were you sitting on a couch and he said, "I've got a brilliant idea. Let's make TV"?
No. Well, when we first heard about podcasting, that's when we sort of started listening to every podcast that we could, Dawn and Drew Show and Daily Source Code, and we just fell in love with podcasting. And then we started becoming unhappy at our day job and really wanted to do something and see what we could do with it.
You told me the first thing you wanted to do was a kind of a Dawn and Drew show, a couple talking with each other and so forth.
But we went to Geek Brief instead.
Neil's too shy to do that, isn't he? He's not. You're not going to get Neil doing that, I have a feeling. Anyway, we're glad to have you here. It's great to have such a wonderful, energetic, vibrant co-host on the show. So thanks for coming in. You're going to talk, and I'm so excited about this.
Me too.
About the future of user interfaces.
Yes. Jeff Hahn, who's a research scientist, has some amazing stuff from TED Talks. This is how we found out about it. And he did a talk and showed his research, and it's really incredible. So I can't wait to talk about that.
Well, you know, I say this all the time. We're still using a 19th century technology, the keyboard, on these 21st century machines.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. There's got to be a better way.
There is.
Once you see what Jeff does, and you're going to see in a minute, you may say, I think that we found a better way. Speaking of better ways, Dick DeBartolo is the king of gadgets. We call him the Giz Wiz. He's here with some must-have electronic gadgets. The holidays are coming, some stocking stuffers, maybe something you'd like to put on your holiday shopping list for yourself. And Greg Danbrook is going to show you some fast and easy ways to add drama to photos. He's our Photoshop expert. So some great show. This is going to be an hour you'll never forget. An hour you'll want to remember your whole life. Someday, you'll be saying, I remember back in 2006, I saw the best TV show ever. This is it. So make sure you watch, because you don't want to forget and miss that memory. I think it's time for a call before I wax waddling here.
All right. On the webcam, we have David from Mississauga, Ontario.
Well said.
Thank you.
Training her in Canadian pronunciation. Hey, David, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Welcome to Call for Help. Say hello to Basil Coward on camera #1. I have to say that because I walk in front of him, and it's the only polite thing to do is to introduce him, right, when you walk in front of somebody.
Yes.
What can I do for you, David?
I was wondering if you could help me with aspect ratio in choosing TVs and computer screens.
Oh, yeah. Aspect ratio is the ratio of length to height. So a standard TV, the ratio is 4:3. So 4 units across, 3 units up and down. And that could be, you know, depending on the size of the TV, it could be different numbers of inches. But they're always it's not a square, it's a rectangle with a side of 4 units by 3 units. This is a HD TV or a widescreen TV. This is 16 by 9. So it's, as you can see, it's a little bit wider. These are great for videos, and if you're going to start watching HD TV, they're great because well, HDTV signals are 16 by 9. The truth is, if you're watching movies, letterbox movies, it isn't quite 16 by 9. They're actually in a wider aspect ratio, so you'll get black bars at the top and the bottom. Similarly, if you watch standard TV on an HDTV, you'll get black bars on the left and the right, or a stretched picture, because the picture is actually only a subset, a smaller box within this box. So now, when it comes to purchase decisions, you've got to think about what kind of content you're going to put on there. Is this for a TV or is this for a computer?
It was actually for a TV.
Okay. Do you have an HD TV signal that you can get, whether it's cable, satellite, or broadcast?
I can get it, yes.
Yeah. Do you think you'll want to be doing that?
I've seen the picture, and I do like the picture a lot.
Sure is nice, yeah. So that's actually a really important question, is what are you going to be watching the most of? It's very dissatisfying if you buy one of these TVs and you don't have any widescreen content. Every actor looks really fat, which frankly I like to see Brad Pitt look like a ton of lard, because it makes me feel better about myself. But really, you probably don't want that, nor do you like those black bars. On the other hand, if you have only HD content, or even a lot of HD content, looking at it on a square TV is very dissatisfying, because you have the black bars top and bottom. So I would say going forward, you probably want a 16 by 9 or widescreen television, because better DVDs, if you watch a lot of movies, certainly when you go to HD, you'll want that, and any HD TV is going to be that kind of a widescreen. On a computer monitor, it's a little different, because it gives you more real estate, and most video cards that come on computers these days can handle a wide aspect ratio, but it may not be for your work purposes what you want. I mean, most monitors that we use these days are 4:3, although Dell and others, Dell has this great 24-inch widescreen monitor, and it's great for watching video on. So, and I think a lot of people nowadays are watching video. I want to recommend a podcast that talks all about this. My good friend Craig Severson does it. He's called The Video Grunt, and he did a podcast on exactly this subject. It's Video Grunt number 4, I think. 3 and 4 on aspect ratios.
So remember, we talked about how the wider film aspect ratios don't quite relate to the taller 4:3.
So he actually has a lot more information than I just gave you in a very palatable format. This guy is a real pro. So that's at gruntmedia.com, and Video Grunt episodes 3 and 4. You can get them on iTunes. Or do you ever watch any podcasts or videocasts, David?
Actually, no, I haven't.
Well, we're going to introduce you to a brand new and exciting medium. Although keep watching TV, if you will. It's self-defeating to show you too much of this stuff, because there's some really great stuff out there. Does that any other questions that kind of answer your question? You want me to?
Actually, that answers a lot of my questions.
Good,
yes,
yeah.
it does.
There's there's much more to think about when you're buying an HD TV. For instance, there's resolution top to bottom. HD TV traditionally is either 720 lines top to bottom. If you draw each line one at a time, that's called progressive scan. Or if you interlace them, as a standard TV does, where you draw one line, like the odd lines all the way down, then you go back and get the even lines all the way down. That's how our regular TVs work. This picture you're looking at right now is interlaced. Then that would be 1,080 lines of interlaced resolution from top to bottom. That's a traditional HD TV, and now we're starting to see HD TVs that come out that are 1,080 lines progressive. And man, those look good. The problem is there's not a lot of content to put on there. The new HD DVDs are progressive 1080p. I think we'll start seeing more content 1080p progressive. If you're buying a new TV and you want to kind of future-proof and buy for the future, I think there are a couple of things to look for. I would buy one that's 1080p, not 1080i. That's a higher resolution. And if you're buying an LCD, you'll actually look what the native resolution is of the screen. I would look for one that has an HDMI connector. That's a must. The HD DVD players, the Blu-ray DVD players, all the new HD content will require that because of the copy protection. They need HDMI. So look for HDMI, look for 1080p. If you want HD TV, some people will be overbuying, though, because if you don't have an HD TV signal, or not a lot, an enhanced definition television will save you money. It's 4:3 and it'll give you everything you want. DVDs are EDTV, so that's enough for most people, or many people. But if you say you have HD content you want to watch, get a good HD TV. All right?
Good.
Thanks, David. I really am glad you watched the show. Take a look at Craig's Video Grunt. It's at gruntmedia.com. He does such a good job of explaining all of these things. If you've got a hankering for some new electronic gadgets, stay tuned because my good friend and Mad's maddest writer, Dick DeBartolo, is here to show us some gadgets you are going to want to pick up right after the break. You stay right here. You know, I do a lot of podcasts. I think at last count over a dozen. But I'm going to tell you, I know I love all my children, but the one I love the most is the Daily GizWiz. It is a daily 5, 10, 15, sometimes 20-minute show featuring Mad's maddest writer, the GizWiz, Dick DeBartolo. And if you listen to the GizWiz, you know that Dick loves all gadgets of all kinds, from the profoundly silly to the incredibly useful. Today, useful gadgets.
Useful gadgets.
Some sweet stuff that you will want instead of the silly stuff that sometimes you might just say, wow.
Yeah, why did they do that?
Wow.
Right. All right, well, the first one is neat. It's called Power Log On.
You've got one here. Let me pull this
Access
over here so we can get a
Yeah,
shot
now there are
of it,
two
if you don't
versions. So
Yeah.
you're looking at the desktop, and I'm going to pop the laptop version out after I do a little demo.
So this is a smart card reader.
A smart card. So what it is, you know, is if you walk around an office, you'll find everybody's secret passwords on a Post-it note next to the computer,
exactly
written in magic marker everywhere, you know. So what this can do is this can remember your passwords, remember your logon, can generate incredibly long, complex passwords that they say would take a hacker 90,000 years to hack.
Wow.
And so what I did is I made one up about an hour ago. So in 89,000, so this may not be the best TV show.
In 89,999 years.
So if you folks want to get something to eat, no, okay.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. All right, so you load the software.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm so excited. It's the first time I've ever been on the monitor, the giant monitor. Okay, so the logo's down.
You know what's weird? I'm wearing the same shirt.
Oh, that's so funny. I'm wearing
so
the same
you.
hat. Does it? Well, okay.
When did you take that picture? That was a while ago.
Last time I was up here. Okay, so you double-click the icon, and the menu comes up.
Okay.
Oh, okay. You promised me you'd never, ever take it off. I was embarrassed. Okay, so you can see that. So I brought up the Logon Manager, and so we don't do anything too sensitive.
Do we have to put the smart card in?
No, what I did is I put it in ahead of time.
So it's in already.
Okay, so we're going to go to Alfred E. Newman's MySpace. So we just double-click on it.
Alfred has a MySpace?
It opens the website, it fills in all the name, and it goes right to the page.
He does.
All totally automatically. Now there's, like AOL,
that's really cool.
a lot of things.
And it logged in.
It logged in, okay? Now, sometimes a website doesn't let you log in automatically, so what
Like your bank won't let you do that, for good reason.
And what you can do there is like Driver Guide, is you will double-click it, and it'll go to the Driver Guide page, but it doesn't fill it in, so then you just single-click it, and it brings up your password info that you can drag.
Oh, that's really neat.
So people still don't know what the password is.
It's still hidden.
Okay? Yeah, it's still hidden. And then, I'm going to pop it out now. I'll take out the whole device. When you travel...
So this is a card reader that just goes into your PC card slot.
Right. So now when I go home, I take this, put it in that reader, and I have all the passwords from my desktop.
So they're actually stored on the smart card.
Right. For example, this is a new Toshiba laptop that I just borrowed. It has none of my passwords in it.
Oh, you're kidding.
But everything is on the card. So
that's because it's got this little memory thing on it, and so it actually remembers passwords.
So Power Log On, either you can buy the card version or the desk version, $129.95. But I just called the manufacturer, and the guy said that we were giving $30 off when we did the Daily GizWiz. He said continue that offer.
So what do we have to do?
If you go to the website and you type in Daily GizWiz
as the coupon
code, you get $30 off. So it brings it under $100.
I have one of these at home, and I've got to install it because that would be really handy.
Isn't that pretty neat? Also, by the way, this Toshiba laptop has fingerprint.
Well, that's another way to do it. And does that not do the same thing?
Well, except your your passwords are still on the laptop.
They're fixed with the laptop.
With
This
the
way
lap-
you take
this
it with
way
you on the card.
You're right.
Okay.
They're on the card.
You know, I
Okay.
should do that. I travel so much. That actually would be very handy.
Yeah. Well, you
know, I
take
see
my
Mikey.
passwords.
Okay, I will. I see Mikey logging into my account all the time over here, my MySpace account, and changing my super secret song.
Oh.
So I should. If I did this, he couldn't do that anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's something neat. This is called Car Chip. Am I holding this to the right guy?
Yeah, just hold it to any old camera. Somebody will catch it.
Sooner or later, they'll find it.
What is that?
Car Chip. You know, since 1996, there's a little device under your dashboard where you go in and you have your car and they hook it up to a computer to be analyzed, where you can sort of do that yourself.
So this is the same thing they would use at the repair shop.
Except this will track what your car's been doing. This is the most expensive one. For the last 300 hours, how fast you drove, how fast you accelerated. If you wanted to check up on your kids.
Yeah, Abby's going to be driving in a couple of years. I think I need this.
I smell one of these coming for you. Car fleets also use them so they can see what individual drivers are doing.
That makes sense, yeah.
And if you unfortunately have a car crash, it's like a little black box. The last 20 seconds of everything you did can be downloaded to a computer, and it can make out a little accident report that you were doing this, you were accelerating this way, you were driving
That's
that
fantastic.
fast.
Great for use in court.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I would never exceeded the speed limit.
Your Honor, take a look at this. Look at this.
See in the chip it says.
Wait a second. I don't say how fast. No, Your Honor, you have to hook.
That's actually a good question. How do you hook this up to your computer?
That is a good question.
That's a good
and
question.
here is your good answer. Okay. So this locks into. This is USB.
Okay, and it goes into
And
this.
this has a little fitting on the bottom for this end of the USB.
I see.
Okay. And they start at $160 up to $200.
So this will actually put it, and then there's software too that'll show graphs and all that stuff.
Exactly.
I think that's a really neat idea.
And there are a few cars electronically where it won't work, but you can find all that out at carchip.com.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty nifty, isn't it?
This is the car chip EX with alarm.
With the alarm. So with the alarm version, you can go in and say you want an alarm to go off if you go over 80 miles an hour.
And does it alarm you in the car?
It alarms you in the car.
So that's for fleet drivers and stuff, so that you could say, hey, bug them if you start driving.
Exactly.
That's
pretty nifty, isn't it?
That's really neat.
And
Car chip.
Our final little guy is from Sansa.
Everybody's trying to knock off the iPod.
Exactly. And this is their new 8 gigabyte.
Okay.
And it has a memory card slot on the side that can
So you
take
can add more.
2 gigabytes.
Okay.
Okay, so we can see this has video.
It plays back video?
It plays back video, does music, FM radio built in.
Yeah, see, that's where you go. See, that's slightly better than the Nano, right?
Record
Just a
from the
little bit more than
FM
the Nano.
radio, obviously photos.
Now Apple
settings.
charges, I think, $250 for their 8 gig Nano.
Yes.
So how much is this?
This is $250. No, they're the same.
$249.95. It's a nickel less.
Right.
But look how much more you. It's kind of beautiful. I haven't seen it
And you
in
get
person.
a
That's
built-in
really pretty.
microphone, so you can record
good.
voice.
And there's more.
There's more. Either the end of October or the end of November, they're making a docking station that you put this in, and the docking station terminates in RCA plugs for your
stereo.
For your video.
Oh, because you could put it on the TV.
So you can directly record video.
Is there any
into that.
video on here? Did you put any video on here?
There's a test video.
Let me see if I can
just slide
find it.
around to video.
You know what? All of these guys, though, and this is the problem, Apple has patented the scroll wheel, right?
Yeah.
So all of them have a scroll wheel-like interface, and you want to spin it.
Right.
And you can't, because Apple owns that. And they ain't calling
You get
anybody.
video, and then there's one little
I'm trying
demo
to get stop, save recording. No.
I don't think you're in. Are you in video?
I went to the wrong. I'm trying to find video. I can't. This is where Apple really has an
We're
advantage.
now 88,000 years has gone by.
Yeah, it's amazing. We're getting closer. If this goes on much longer, I think we'll be unhacked. All right, let's see. If I can, I don't want to listen to record. How do I get back? Oh, menu. Okay, see, I just have to learn.
Well, you talk about that.
Yeah.
I'll show.
Yeah, you do something.
The new
I'm
issue
busy.
of Mad Magazine, November Mad, showing a lot of respect for the presidency here. And in this issue, I can't remember what I wrote, but I wrote something.
Oh, it does. Wait a minute. It does scroll.
It does scroll. I was wondering. I didn't want to
scrolls, but
criticize
not quite like this.
criticize you on the air.
Not quite like that. Okay, here's the demo. Sansa, you want Revelations? What's Revelations?
Revelations is like a little space thing. Revelations was the day you invited me on the show. I said,
It was a revelation.
I was born to do this show.
Hey, oh, wait a minute. It's sideways, right? It's hard to tell. We're in space. That's pretty good video.
Yeah, it's nice.
Look at that. Dick, you always bring cool stuff, and you always make me want to take it.
Yeah, I know. That's why.
I can't tell. Is that upside down?
Going home through customs is so easy. Getting in is a problem. Going home. Where's all that stuff you brought in? Leo has it.
GizWiz.biz for more information, and if you want to find out more, you can also read our show notes. Call for help. TV.com. Dick,
I'm coming back again.
greatest.
A second show.
Come back
No
next week.
insults.
No insults. I can't believe it.
The man is falling down on the job.
Quick, think of an insult for Dick.
87,000 years and counting.
Right now, let's go to our next tech quiz question of the day. Let me shine some light on this question. What kind of markup does RSS use for formatting? Is it SQL, HTML, XML, or a protractor? Go to the website, give us the answer. We'll talk about it. One call for help continues. Hello, and welcome back to Call for Help. I think it would be nice, just a thought, to have another call for help. It is called Call for Help. Do you
It
have
is.
anybody for me, Callie Lewis?
I have Dave from Stony Plain, Alberta for you.
Well, thank you, Callie. Hello, Dave.
Hi, Leo. How are you this morning? Or I guess it's afternoon where you're at.
It is evening where I'm at, but that's because we're, who knows what it is? I don't know.
Whatever
Because there's
it
no
is.
windows in here, and it looks like evening, but I can't really tell. What can I do for you, David?
Leo, I'm running Windows XP here, and with Norton, the most 2006, I guess, Norton system works.
Yes, sir.
When I run Norton, the repair, I keep coming up that it's missing a certain file,
Okay.
and it has to do with, I believe, Net Framework.
What's the file name?
MSVCR 80.
Okay. If you ever see you're missing an MSVC anything file, that's Microsoft Visual C. Those are libraries that come with the programming language, and most programs that are written in Visual C, which is most Windows programs, use those libraries so they don't have to rewrite routines. The fact that it's missing, it's a file that should have been installed with Norton SystemWorks. The fact that it's missing is it's an incomplete install. Now, when
With Norton and not something else.
very likely Norton, if Norton's doing the complaint, it's probably Norton that needs it. So what I would suggest is uninstalling whatever program's complaining and reinstalling it. You say it happened when you tried to repair Norton?
Yeah, it keeps coming up with 10 certain files, but they're all with this MSV.
Yeah, it's a library that you need, and I don't know exactly what the purpose of that library is. We could look into the Microsoft Visual C, documentation to see.
Right.
I think you're right. I think it is the .NET framework. One thing you could try, if it uses .NET, is actually going to Windows Update. And making sure you have the latest version of .NET. Have you tried that?
Not of the .NET. I just go in for the updates.
Yeah, it's not a critical update. It's not a required update, but it is actually a very useful thing to have. Many programs nowadays are using the .NET frameworks, and the latest version is 2.0. This might repair it. By the way, you don't go do the Express. You do a custom, and you're going to select from the non-critical updates. It's going to say Microsoft .NET framework, and I think the current version is 2, but I'm not sure exactly what.
Right. I did go in and do a reinstall of .NET framework, like to go in and repair.
Yeah, repairs never work.
Well, and then I ran it, and it added a bunch of files, so I figured it's fixed. So I ran Norton again, and it came up with about 30 errors.
Well, now I'm telling you what could be wrong, but I have to be honest with you. When you start seeing system files corrupted, damaged, missing, it usually means, in fact, that there was a spyware or viral infection, because these programs install themselves either as or into a system file, hoping to hide, right?
Right.
And have you recently disinfected from spyware or viruses?
Not in quite a while.
Okay. Often that's the case, or even just in a spyware infection. When we start seeing Windows kind of fragmenting like this and falling apart, and you try to repair it and it goes worse and worse, usually means there's some spyware on the system. And once you get spyware on the system, the only thing to do, you cannot get rid of it. The only, in my opinion, you can try, and if you're really careful and you're very precise, you might be able to get rid of it. But chances are, once you get one piece on there, you notice you have a lot more new files. It gets worse and worse and worse. It's progressive. And at that point, the only way to really know that your system is clean, format and reinstall. I would back up your data, format it, and reinstall it. That's going to get rid of the problem and probably fix, if you have an infection, any infection you might have. You could try, if you really wanted to try to recover it, notice it's still checking. You could run the Windows update, and what you need is the .NET framework. So get the latest .NET framework, see if that fixes it. But I have a feeling there's something more underlying all of these problems.
Spyware in there someplace.
That's my guess. I hate to always say it's spyware, but when you have corrupt system files, that usually is an indicator something's going on.
And the spyware programs, because there's numerous of them,
There's no one that's great. I recommend the free ones. Start with Microsoft's own Windows Defender at Microsoft.com/spyware. But I also recommend Spybot and Adaware. The problem is, we found there's no one anti-spyware program that will detect all spyware, nor is there anyone that will disinfect all spyware. So you need to run a number of them, and even then, in many, many cases, they do not detect all of them and do not remove all of them. In fact, even if they detect them, it's often very hard. This is why they install themselves as system files. You cannot delete a system file or the whole program falls apart, right? So that's the whole point of spyware is to get on your system and stay there. And they're very ingenious, and they change all the time, and anti-spyware just doesn't keep up, I'm sorry to say.
So I guess it's a case of doing what you can with this.
Do what you can. My honest reaction is, behavioral changes, blocking spyware is the only sensible plan once you get it. The only reaction that's effective is format and install.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No.
Callie's going, I use a Mac. I don't have to worry. Ha ha ha. You'll get yours someday, young lady. And, all the Windows users are going, I can't wait till there's spyware for Macintosh. I can't wait so I can be smug and to get those smug sons of guns. And, I'm sure there will be at some point, but for right now, we don't worry about that. That's why I sometimes tell home users, buy a Mac. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
I wish I had a better answer for you, but that's the fact, Jack, and I got to tell the truth as I see it. Have you ever wished that those futuristic things you see in movies like flying cars could come to life? Like, did you remember Minority Report where Tom Cruise is going like this and he's putting stuff on the screen? You know what? It's coming soon. The latest breakthrough user interface technology is going to blow your mind. Callie Lewis shows us right after this. Don't move a muscle. Future, we've all been led to believe computers won't exist in the way we know them now. You see HAL 9000 and 2001. I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. We'll be able to talk to our computers, and they'll just listen, and they'll talk back to us. Or maybe we'll be able to, like in that movie with Tom Cruise. What was that called?
The Minority Report.
The Minority Report.
Yeah.
We'll be able to do stuff like this.
This is totally Minority Report.
Callie Lewis has brought us something that is. It's totally out of Minority Report. It's as if they knew. Anyway.
I don't know about flying cars, but
no,
this.
It's never going to happen. Flying cars is something they've been promising us for hundreds of years. So, first of all, tell us a little bit about this site, because it's a neat site.
TEDtalks.com is, well, you know most about TED. I mean, basically it's a conference, and they bring in these amazing people that have these amazing thoughts and ideas together.
And not just from technology, it's entertainment, it's design, it's really the people who are making a big difference in a number of different worlds, and the idea is to bring them together.
Work together, yeah.
And boy, you see some amazing things.
And
What's neat is they're putting it online.
Yes, there's a podcast. I believe it's TED Talks.
I subscribe to it.
Yeah. So and they have all these people, these speeches that they give, and really, really interesting stuff.
Now, this one is one that I saw too, and it blows my mind. Who is this guy?
This is Jeff Hahn. He's a research scientist.
Why don't we roll the video while
Yeah.
you're talking about it so we can see?
It's a current Institute of Mathematical Science, and
He's actually showing us a touch interface.
It's amazing. So basically, they've said, you know, what we work with now, this keyboard and mouse thing, it's not the way we should be working with computers.
Right.
There are much more intuitive ways. I mean, have you ever had to teach an older person how to use a mouse?
Right.
I think I heard a support call one time where she called up and said, you know, I can't, my mouse is squeaking. And the guy said, okay, so what do you mean it's squeaking? And she said, well, it said click and drag, and so when I clicked and dragged it across the screen, it's squeaking.
She's dragging her mouse on the
Across
screen.
the screen.
Oh, boy.
And so, you know, these things, they're not very intuitive.
Right.
We've been using them for years.
But this is, if you look,
this-
he's actually just, for instance, to expand a picture, he just stretches the
Right.
corners. To move around his stack, he just moves them around.
Right, and you can
Look at that.
make things bigger and smaller.
Now,
and
what he
I
hasn't done
imagine-
yet is type. Oh, now he's going to
There he
type.
goes.
Look at that.
I imagine this could be integrated into Photoshop. So say you have a pimple or something,
Right.
and
You could
you can with
you
two
could squeeze it.
fingers. Well, supposedly that's not so good for you.
Okay, all right.
But you can take it, and probably with two fingers you can kind of wipe it out, as
Right.
opposed to taking your mouse and
Right.
and doing that. So I think that's going to be an incredible thing.
Who's this guy's name?
Jeff Hahn.
And it is well worth looking at the video because it just shows you that we're not, and I think this is the thing, is the mouse and keyboard get the job done. So there's
Absolutely.
not a lot of impetus to change.
Right.
Because everybody knows how to use it, and boy, you know, you don't want to learn how to type all over again. And yet there are better ways. And if we can just start introducing them slowly and get people used to them, I
Sure.
think it would make a big difference in usability.
And this guy, I can't wait to see
It's
what
neat.
he comes up with. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really neat. Now, I'm sure that screen costs $30,000.
I'm sure none of us can afford it, except you maybe.
What do you, well, who, me? Why me? You're the, never mind. There's more good footage. You want to see a little bit more?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
this
you're
is the
zooming in
Google
on
Earth.
Google Earth.
Yeah, and so you can take it and you kind of look at different angles of that, and that's an incredible thing.
It's almost like you're playing the computer like a musical
Yeah,
instrument.
yeah, exactly.
It's really neat.
You have just so much control and so much just controls.
We
what I
have
meant
links
say.
to TED Talks and more notes about this at our website, callforhelptv.com. And if you want to see more of Callie Lewis, and who doesn't after all, go to geekbrief.tv.
Thank you,
A
Leo.
wonderful video podcast with lots of cool stuff. In fact, she showed this. You didn't you? On Geek
I
Brief?
did, yeah. As soon as I found out about it, I was like, we have to
Everybody,
cover it.
I think you were the one. In fact, that's how I found out.
Oh, yeah?
About it. Yeah, because I saw that and I said, oh, I've got to go and look at that. Hang on here. We're going to see the control room and see what amazing user interface devices they are using there as we continue. We'll be right back right after this.
9, 8 commercials, 7, 6, 5 commercials, 4, 3 commercials, 2, 1.
I'm doing the call for help there. Welcome to Call for Help. Welcome back. Leo Laporte here. Callie Lewis there. My dear, do you have another caller for us?
Absolutely. Why don't you talk to John? He's right here in Toronto, Ontario.
Do I have to?
You do.
All right. Hello, John. How are you?
Hello, I'm well. How are you?
We're just teasing. I'm great. It's great to have you on the show. What can I do for you today?
Well, I was trying to find out how to move a rectangle of text in WordPerfect 12. I
Oh.
was able to do it in WordPerfect 5.1.
When you say a rectangle of text, do you mean you're going to select an area of text on the screen, but not a paragraph, but just a discontinuous area and move it?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, that's actually one of the best features of WordPerfect. I'm not sure how you do it in 12. As I remember, was it you press the control key as you're selecting?
In WordPerfect 5.1, yes.
And it doesn't do that in 12?
Doesn't seem to do it. And I've tried the help that comes with the software, and it doesn't even mention rectangle.
Oh, that would be terrible if they took that feature out.
Yeah, I don't know. I sent a query to Corel,
Yeah.
And I got an answer back saying the inquiry you have made regarding WordPerfect 12 falls outside the parameters of the basic installation and configuration support for this product.
That's funny.
That wasn't very helpful.
That is not very helpful at all. That is funny. You know, I have to say, I used to use WordPerfect. I really thought WordPerfect was the end-all and be-all, and I've always liked it better than Word. You know, the best word processor ever on the Mac was WordPerfect 5.1. I mean, it's just spectacular. But what happened was the WordPerfect company sold it to Corel. Microsoft Office is so dominant, there just isn't much of a market anymore for WordPerfect, and I'm afraid that the company itself is, as you can see, is not supporting it as well as they used to. I am not going to be much help to you here because I always used to do it by pressing the control. Now, if you go to edit and select rectangle, can you do that?
No, you can't.
Okay. So I just don't know. You can do this, I believe, in Microsoft Office. It's just disappointing. I guess Corel is not keeping WordPerfect. I can't believe they take that out. That was one of the big selling points of WordPerfect for a long time, was this kind of discontinuous selection, to be able to select just a rectangle of text. I don't know the answer, John. I wish I did. Let me see if we can figure it out, if we can find it for you. We don't have a copy of WordPerfect 12 on here. I would like to just kind of bang on it. I bet you've tried probably all the obvious things, but maybe we could find some non-obvious way to do it. It is possible they took a feature out, but boy, that's the last thing you see somebody do in a word processor. It seems like they just add features more and more and more and more.
Well, it's possible you can do it, but I can't can't find out.
What would you do?
Yeah,
what would you do with that, John? Why do you need to do that? Just out of curiosity.
I'm doing some genealogy, some descendant charts, and what happens is if you get new information, you have to move the others. The old information aside.
You're sliding it around. See, that's where that great user interface Callie just showed us would be great. You could just slide it like that. That's a really good example of, this is a very natural way to interact with blocks of information, is just slide around, move it around. And it's ironic that you should come up with this. That's exactly where this interface, this keyboard and mouse interface, really falls down quite badly. How do you select a discontinuous block of text and move it very easily around? This is where I think our user interface has failed us more than the software has failed us. If there were an easy way to do it like that, you know, maybe the software would be more naturally able to do it. So I guess, John, I apologize. I don't have an answer for you. We'll look into it and see if we can find a way. If we can, we'll put it in the show notes for you, or we'll mention it before the show is over. But
okay, great.
For right now, all I can say is I guess you can't, and we'll just look and see if there's a way to do it. Thanks, John.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for listening to the show. I appreciate it. I'm sorry we're no help whatsoever. Is your internet connection limited to, let's say, 5 gigabytes of data transfer? You might laugh at that. It's not unusual. They just don't tell you ahead of time. Maybe you're curious about how much data you upload and download in a certain period of time. Maybe you just want to know what's going on. Mike has a free file that'll allow you to watch the traffic as it goes out and in your computer.
It's something called NetMeter. It does the simplest job in the world. All it does is it takes a look, and if we look on the screen here, you'll see of just traffic. Red is download, green is going to be upload.
You might be surprised when you see. Does it keep track of over a long period of time? I mean, can you say how many have I done this month or this week?
Absolutely. What I find is interesting is because one time I actually found a piece of spyware because it would be going out looking for information all the time. I was like, what is looking out different information? I went through my list of information. So this is actually the report page, and it shows you how much you've transferred in that particular day, in that particular week, in that particular month, or in total since you've installed the program.
Neat. There are services that claim unlimited upload and download, satellite services often, where they really do have limits, and it's probably a good idea to keep track of these things.
It has a lot of advanced features in terms of reporting it, charting it by the day, how much you used. It's particularly good if you have kids or whatever, and you suddenly notice there's a spike in downloads. Maybe they're downloading movies or
what are they up to?
So it's a fully featured kind of free file that does a lot of simple things.
Gets the job done.
Absolutely.
What's it called?
It is called NetMeter.
NetMeter. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Michael Azazra, if you've got a free file suggestion for Mike, we'd love to hear from you. Mike at callforhelptv.com?
Absolutely.
Am I right?
You're absolutely
I am right, sir. Coming up next, we're going to learn how to easily add that je ne sais quoi factor to any of your digital images. Our photo guru has some great tips. Greg Dambrick will be here. But first, let's take another peek at our next tech quiz question of the day. What kind of markup does RSS use for formatting? Those are those feeds that Callie uses for Geek Brief and Mike uses for Command N and Sean uses for Lab Rats and I use for Twit? Is it SQL, HTML, XML, or a protractor? That would work, wouldn't it? No, that wouldn't. No. Get to the website, give us the answer. We'll talk about it when Call for Help continues. Did you find it? Welcome back to Call for Help. Before the break, we asked you what kind of markup, which is kind of a way of marking up text to show formatting and so forth, does RSS use? And RSS, of course, is the syndication feed that podcasting uses and many websites use to syndicate their content. And the answer is, after all of that, XML, or Extensible Markup Language. So if you ever have the misfortune to accidentally load a RSS feed in a browser that doesn't understand RSS feeds, like Internet Explorer, you'll see a lot of brackets and stuff, and that's XML is what you're looking at. It's kind of HTML's successor, maybe even big brother. Hope you got that right. Very smart if you did. There was a lot of abbreviations and acronyms in there. So whether you're a dedicated shutterbug or just a casual snap shooter, there are a lot of ways to enhance your digital images by editing them, playing with them. That's what we show you a lot. But sometimes it's hard to know exactly what special effect is right for what time, and what's going to just make a big mess. Greg Danbrook, our photo expert, has done a lot of this. He's going to show you how you can change a photo to make it dramatic, to make it glamorous, to make it romantic.
Many different ways.
Many different moods. Same photo?
Same photo, whatever you want to do to it.
By the way, before we go much farther, people are going to think that there's something going on here. This is Greg's mouse. It is not a pistol. It is not a taser. The man is just a little strange.
Well, you kept making fun of my Hot Wheels mouse.
This is a fun. Where'd you get this?
Well, online. It's Monster Gecko's Pistol Mouse FPS.
It is a optical mouse. I guess this is the click. Do you have a left click?
Yeah, just underneath the trigger there.
There's a right click and a left click.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
and
so
a scroll
funny.
wheel.
Oh, and there's even a scroll wheel.
I got it when I was doing a marathon Photoshop session. I was doing a few 40-hour-plus shifts, and eventually your hand kind of forms into this claw shape.
It's actually a good idea.
Yeah, so I got this, so it's a little more vertical. And
yeah. I bet it'd be really fun to play Doom with that, too.
It's actually kind of what it's meant for.
Oh, okay.
FPS, first-person shooter.
Yeah.
So.
I might get that. That's really kind of funny. All right, so here we have a lovely picture of your grandmother, your wife, and your daughter.
Yeah, actually my mother-in-law.
I'm sorry, your mother-in-law.
That's okay.
I said grandmother. The daughter's grandmother is what I meant. Yeah.
Yes.
And we're looking at this in Photoshop.
Yeah, we're in Photoshop now. I think a lot of this can be done in Elements as well.
Okay.
You've seen the soft focus effect. I call it the Angela Lansbury filter. If you ever watched Murder, She Wrote.
These days it's the Angela Jolie filter. But anyway, go ahead. Yes.
So I'm going to grab the layer in the Layers palette, and I'm going to duplicate it by dragging it down onto the new layer icon.
Always do that before you do anything to a picture.
Yeah, this is actually, I'm duplicating it for a different reason. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go into my Filters palette, my Filters menu, and I'm going to grab a Gaussian blur filter. Say, yeah.
You don't want too much blur.
Well, let's take a look here.
It looked like Grandma forgot her bifocals. Oh my gosh.
Doesn't look so good now, but let's go back to the Layers palette and take the opacity. Let's move it down just a little bit.
So you're in effect putting a kind of blur layer on top of a clean layer.
Exactly. We put a blurred layer over top of a sharp layer, and it gives you that soft focus kind of romantic look.
I've always wondered how to do that. That's very simple.
It's a very fast way to do it. And if you wanted to bring back an area of sharpness, you can add a layer mask. We'll put it
For instance, sharpen over the baby's head.
Yeah, like say you didn't want it on the faces or something, you can just kind of bring it back in specific areas using a layer mask with black paint. It kind of brings back areas of sharpness.
I bet you people, photographers and magazines do this all the time.
Oh yeah.
Because now that I look at it, it looks like a Kodak moment.
It's a great,
it totally transforms it.
Yeah, for portraiture, things like that.
Yeah.
Now, another thing you can do, there's things called blending modes, which are basically sets of rules that define how a layer reacts with the layers below it.
Okay.
So right now, this is set in normal. Let's take a look at, say, hard light. Now you get a bit of a darker, it's a higher contrast. See how the shadows have changed? Let me turn this on and off a little bit.
That makes it more dramatic.
Yeah. You see the skin tones warm up a little bit. And you can play around with a bunch of these different settings here.
Try different ones just to see what happens.
Exactly.
That's a soft light.
Bring your opacity back up. And you can see that shadows get darker, highlights get brighter, and we still got that soft glow. Now sometimes when you've got an image, just due to the subject matter, there's really only so much you can do with it. So you need to go a little bit more.
I don't know whether to take that as an insult or a compliment. but all right. Well,
let's try an adjustment layer with curves. Do you remember back in the early to mid 1990s when Photoshop was just getting popular? Everyone tried every filter that was out there just to see what it did.
Right.
And you often saw where people would just play around with the curves. So if we call up an adjustment layer.
What does curves do?
Curves define the characteristic curve or the gamma curve of your image, which is basically the contrast.
How bright or how contrasty is at on different colors?
Well, if you look at the image right now we're on RGB, so it's affecting all the channels. This is your black point, this is your white point. Okay. If I grab the middle point, I'm pushing the midpoints closer to the white. Now I'm pushing the midpoints closer to dark.
So in effect, that's increasing or decreasing the brightness or the contrast?
The contrast more.
Contrast.
If you do what's called an S curve, it increases, your highlights get brighter, your shadows get darker. Right. But what people were doing when Photoshop first came out was going just absolutely nuts with their curves.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, you've seen that all over the place.
Yeah.
And because you're using an adjustment layer, it comes with a built-in layer mask on top. So with this white layer mask here, if I paint with black, it'll bring back
with the stuff that you paint.
Yeah, areas of normal. So it's another way that you can just kind of, if you want a little bit of it to go psychedelic, bring back some of the face, you can play around with it.
I like it with the hair. I think if we just have psychedelic hair. In fact, if I could get a dye job like that, I might do it. I might do it. That's very cool.
Yeah, so that's what a lot of portrait photographers are going to be using, things like that. And you notice it was all fast. It was all make the layer, duplicate it, add a blur.
And then, it's not a blur. In this case, you played with the curves.
On the other one, yeah, it was an adjustment
with the curves. Layer. And then you can change the opacity, change how much it changes, and you can change the blend mode to change what it does to it.
Exactly.
And you can, and I really like this. You can, if you paint with black, it will
painting with black
erase what's being done.
Yeah, black hides the effect, white reveals it. So I'm painting with white, I'm bringing the effect
bringing it back.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really neat. I really like that effect. That's fun to play with that. You picked a good picture for it too. That's my Jimi Hendrix phase.
It's very nice.
It's actually Patrick Norton's skateboard.
How fast can you go on that thing?
1,000 miles an hour, 800 light years from home. Greg Danbrook is very kind of coming. I can tell you have a little bit of a cold. I appreciate your stick-to-itiveness. We'd love having you come in. He's a photography whiz who's been playing the digital game for a very long time now. And you can see he's just a master at taking pictures and making them pop. You want to see more of his work? danbrook.com is his website. Danbrook with an E at the end. And of course, for the details about what happened here, I know sometimes it happens a little fast. He can show you all the details at callforhelptv.com. Callie and I will wrap this thing up with a bow right after this. Stay right here. Welcome back to Call for Help. So we did a little ferreting around. We installed WordPerfect Office 12, and Mike Lazazra figured out there is a way to select a rectangular selection. Here's how you do it. Mike's going to demonstrate. You first start by selecting some text, and that's the key, and that's probably what was going on. Our caller didn't realize it. If you go to Edit now, and you look in the Select menu, all of a sudden, there it is, the rectangular selection. It selects it based on the text you've already selected, and this is why it was difficult to figure out. Now you can drag that, you can copy it, and you can paste it. So that's what he was looking to do, is to get a weird kind of discontinuous part of the selection. So again, select some text, go to the Edit menu, go to Select, and there it is, Select Rectangle. Weird. And I'm not sure exactly how it figures out what rectangle to select. Maybe there's some handles on it now and you can move it. I don't know. We didn't get that far, but at least we figured it out. Callie Lewis, you're a gem for coming here and being with us. It's the only thing that's healing our broken heart about losing Amber. We're so glad to have you. Isn't she great? Isn't she great? Let's hear it for her. Yeah. Hey, we're glad you're here too. Believe me, we couldn't do this show without you. Go to the website, ask a question. We can't answer them by email, but we'll get you on the show if we can. Remember, if you've got a problem with your personal confuser,
don't whine.
Don't moan.
Don't yell.
Just call for help. We'll see you later.
We're not going to take it away from us.